Revolt Against the Modern World Book Review by James P. Pearce. Wow, what a dense read, what a very important recognition as to where all of these passed down practices come from. As I pointed out, I can understand Evola's frustration throughout the time period he was alive. Due to the numerous infiltrations on both European and Christendom traditions, I can see how his brand of paganism is adherent to that of a better time. It seems as if he places honor, duty, and a form of nobility as his highest ideals. Which is to say, can you blame him? Well, if traditions are to be passed down and are to be honored, then what good are they if they are not? Then what would be the point of those various customs not being honored? Traditions are inherent within many cultures, traditions, and practices across the world, yet across the world, they all have many internal and external similarities. Sure, there is a spirit to the ages, as he points out, which is pagan. Pagans like to attach it to Christianity. There is definitely a difference, both practically and spiritually. So let us examine the first question, as this is one of the most poignant themes that stood out to me. Think of a noble king and then think of a tyrant. I know the young archetypes are probably screaming by now, and that cultural pathology is a theme that has been touched on, yet for the sake of traditionalism, there is a more concrete timeline to it. There have been more bad monarchs and rulers than there have been good ones, because the good ones stand out amongst the rest. Whereas the terrible ones are in the shadows, they are known for terrible things. Julius Caesar is remembered for being terrible, yet Augustus Caesar is remembered for being a very effective and prominent leader. I know the Caesars aren't technically monarchs in the traditional sense, but as anyone on the street, which one is more greatly remembered? The terrible one will always shine out, which is an issue. Now, could it be because terrible traditions are passed down from age to age? It could be. Evola pointed out both the involution and comparative analysis from tradition to tradition. Yet having a cohesive traditionalist approach is what always amazes me. There is an inherent need to see and recognize a God, or the one true God, that is important across the board. Honor and duty, this is the other part of that equation to tradition, that would not cause an involution, but rather something more hopeful and easier for strong men to make society worthy of those virtues. Yet, does that involution really destroy traditions? This is another question that does beg to be asked. If the traditions were not worth preserving, then it is glad to know they have been kept. So if they are worth being kept, then it is worthy of honor and duty. This would be a shorter summary and something of a dense read that is really filled with a lot of good nuggets. However, I am a Christian and I can see some strangeness in his words to me. My Goodreads score for this book was a 5 out of 5 despite all the strangeness.